So I'm here with the one and only Mitch Parmasar at Treb Realtor Quest. Mitch, this isn't Lexaltico's first time here. I know we were here last year and it was a ton of fun. I think this is the first time you've been here to Treb though, right? Or have you been to Realtor Quest before?
This is my first time here. I gotta say, thank you for that wonderful introduction. This event is really eye-opening in the sense that you really realize the scale at which the real estate business operates in Ontario.
It's so funny because we forget, like, being a multidisciplinary practice, we've got lawyers, we've got business advisors like you, we've got global consultants, immigration professionals, but we're still part of that sort of like micro ecosystem. And then you come to something like this and you're like, geez, all of these businesses are actually in this like giant ocean of real estate with me. And it's so cool to think, right? Like that we're all partners in industry, and it's stuff that they do. We've met some tremendous businesses and doing things very innovatively. So
absolutely, and just talking with so many people and walking around and saying hello. It's really interesting to see that with Lexaltico as well, the whole concept of really getting into full scale, not only on the law service side, but the business side, which is what I look after, being the chief strategist. It's really interesting to see the depth at which people really need the support in order to grow and develop.
And that's where I think like our niche has been like really cool in this legal professional service landscape, is the coming together of legal and non-legal professionals to not work in these silos. Like, how many times has it been that I've come to you, on a business immigration file, and we've got to be able to prove to Immigration Canada that this is a viable business, and that involves like making that business transition plan, the pitch decks, the market analysis, the market entry studies. And you know what? It makes like all the difference, right? Like, I've been at immigration conferences and people aren't doing that, or they don't, like law firms that are just doing immigration, they don't have that capacity because lawyers really have to kind of like think outside. But I can tell you on those like immigration files, your work makes all the difference, right? So, I know that you're involved in a lot of the global consultancy projects.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one of the one thing I appreciate with being with the law firm is exactly like you say, we're building plans. We're really validating that this business is viable, that it will work for you as a client. But how cool is it that we can actually, on the back office side of it, have you guys look at these contracts, look at everything, and then when we present back to the client, we're so confident in what we're proposing that we know that it's going to work for them. The idea is success for our clients.
Something that you said just made me almost laugh, because you said, and then in the back office we have you guys looking at contracts, and we're like, in the back office we have Mitch doing the pitch decks and the market entry. So clearly we both get to play hero in the front in our own little world, but it's so great to know that we're like each, it's like a ride and die situation. Like, we're all in that together with the client, trying to get them to the other side. And I mean, it's not just been business immigration where it's been really great. I think it's like Lexaltico, we've been doing general GC, like general counsel work on a fractional basis for businesses that don't have the budget, or where it frankly doesn't make sense to be bloated in that kind of way where you're paying like $200,000 to a GC that all they're doing is reviewing contracts and maybe dealing with some employment type issues and still having to pay specialist firms. So that model worked really well for us. But then I love that when you joined forces with Lexaltico and when you came on, we were really able to expand into this concept of general COO.
Yes.
Like businesses need chief operating officers, and this idea that we could make it a fractional service, so again, where they're not paying, the kind of salary a guy like you demands otherwise, full-time in-house, for them to have that. And, I'd love to hear more about what kind of work you've been doing on that, and, I get to see it from a legal angle.
Yes, and from the client angle as well, they really appreciate the fact that this service is now provided, because really and truly, it's like you say,
Yeah,
when
it's
you
been a
go
hit.
when you go for leadership support in your business, especially if you're a small or medium-sized company, that's a big investment. So we're happy to basically offer this at a fractional service. And what we're seeing in terms of the industry trending as well is this is the route that most businesses are going. They don't want to make that full-time commitment for $200,000, $250,000 to get that support. So they're able to come to us, and we can work in terms of what they need. We can really spread it out. And not only is it COO, we have CFO, we're into the marketing side, the accounting side. And the more we're connecting with people, we're realizing that the way we've structured our resources is that we also have relationships that are so strong for our clients that it's seamless for them to really come in, get the leadership that they need, develop the plans, grow their business. Ultimately, we want to be able to grow their business, and the support structure and the accountability is crucial. But I think what really drives the difference for us is that we really get into the nitty-gritty of the business.
Yep, and you know what? I can't name the name because of client confidentiality, but you and I know we're talking about like a really cool real estate niche company that started, and they originally came to us. They wanted their kind of contractor agreements in place if they had to bring more agents, and then the broker of record was like, I really need to kind of think about the marketing and the structuring and the leadership. And I remember I introduced, this person over to you, and there was like ongoing engagement, and I believe they're like on to like hiring their agents and like even in this market expanding, because there's a niche market that they serve, which is doing well amongst all odds. And it's been phenomenal, and it's really nice that she can kind of like oscillate between us and you and get legal on one side and business on the other side, but also it's really great because I think even our lawyers have been able to kind of break out of that mold, that industry that the legal industry otherwise kind of shackles them or molds them into, which is risk. Yeah, we manage risk management, but guess what? Entrepreneurs are risky by nature.
That's right, absolutely.
That's where, so here's the thing, you can't be like holding them by the ankle, dragging them underwater, but you gotta tell them, yeah, buddy, don't swim over there. There's a big white shark coming your way, right? So that's what you can do. But you get them fins and you get them what they need to still swim in that ocean. Maybe not with fins. Maybe they need more than that. Maybe it wasn't a great example, but you know what I'm saying. Like they need to still swim in those waters. Can't be like, don't go there because there's too much danger. But okay, I'll highlight it for you. But it's really great. Or maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe the mountain analogy works better. I think what you are, Mitch, and I've said it to clients before, the Sherpa that will help them climb Mount Everest. You know what? That's what it is. And you know what? It's, again, you can do it alone. Might go well, might not. But you get a Sherpa who knows the terrain, who knows how to scale.
Yes. That's right.
Right?
Just building on that alone, because that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, especially when you're at a level where you're not the big game, you're really trying to build your financial future. You're going into a lot of unknown territories.
Yeah.
And there are days you're going to wake up and you're going to say, oh my God, what am I doing? And then there are days you're going to wake up and say, oh my God, thank God I'm doing what I'm doing.
I'm doing this. And we were talking about it. I mean, of course, we're a private practice, so we're all entrepreneurs by nature.
That's right.
We would have been, working some other job. But fact is, I don't think I'd have it any other way. But you know what? People see the success and they think, it's a lot of hard work.
Yes.
And to have good lawyers and to have good strategists, to have that system, like, it's such a support that the entrepreneur needs, right?
They do.
Because you're gonna have your high moments, you're gonna have your low moments. And it's also not when you're just starting out.
Yeah, and I've shared.
Sometimes it's when you're restructuring or scaling at a certain point.
That's right.
That's when the most critical need comes in, right?
Exactly. And then remember, you're running your business, and then you got to work on the business.
Yep.
And this is where we come in, because we can really help you scale at leadership, put you in the right resources, and you're only paying for what you need.
Yeah.
So you're able now to utilize that resource, or that dollar that you have is being spent effectively and efficiently so that your business is growing.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who work with us are seeing the value in how this comes together for them. And it's a critical component, and the fact that Lexaltico has identified this as an area that needs to be focused on. I think it's game changing. And the more we get the messaging out, there's so many people want to start their own brokerage.
Yeah.
They realize, okay, the Remaxes of the world, they have a place, but maybe it's not for
But
me
so do
anymore.
I, and I've got something,
right.
I've got a niche, I've got a way of doing things, I've got a service delivery method, a philosophy, a clientele that I can service so much better outside of that mandate,
right.
maybe, right? And I've met so many people here today who've come on the hot seat, as I call it, right? And I've got you on the hot seat right now, but and they've been talking about how they've started their own brokerage, and it's fantastic to take that leap. And sometimes you got to take that leap when the market's not doing so good, because when the market is doing good, you think the success could be because you're with one of the big guys.
That's right.
But when the bad times hit,
yes,
you realize, you know what? The only one who can save yourself, can save you is yourself sometimes, right?
This is it. And so this is where
a
niche,
network of good people.
That's right. And this is where niche marketing comes in, because now you're concentrating on your network.
Yep.
And it's all relationship driven.
Yeah.
So you're going to get repeat business. You're going to get referrals. But the question is, how do you nurture that? And that's where, you want to build in marketing, but you also don't want to lose that personal touch. And this is where we can help refine it and build it out so that you are constantly in the right time with the folks so that they never forget you. And the business can grow organically despite what the market is showing.
Exactly, because where there's doom and gloom, there's always opportunity. The time when the most millionaires are made is not always when times are good. It's actually always historically been in times like the Great Depression, right?
And this
you just gotta know.
This is the time, I'm pretty excited about when you think about it, because now is when
the Great Depression?
Wealth transfers.
Wealth transfers.
Right? And we're not in the Great Depression.
We're in the largest
hurting.
wealth transfer.
The industry is hurting.
Yeah.
But again, if you are new to this business, if you've already got some money saved up and you want to be able to get into the market, or you can see yourself building a long-term wealth strategy, then this is the time to do it.
And it's great, again, for us to, for you to be able to work with business owners and be like, listen, this is where your asset pools are at, and this is how you've grown. And maybe talk to a trust or estates lawyer at Lexaltico to see how to structure this, whether it's a family trust or, and then for them not to have to go knock on some third or 10th door to get that advice, which might be completely disjointed from them having to kind of boomerang back to you with the next step, right? That integrated approach is great, because it's not just corporate commercial. And sometimes, for example, I know you've referred work over to me for trademark advisory, for example. Where do you park your trademark as you're working with them?
That's right.
And I've had to tell you, hey, make sure they trademark it. It's a great name. I haven't heard of it before. And, again, just that kind of brainstorming, that activity, that commercial activity with the legal strategy, it's magnetic.
One thing I want to build on that, because you said a very, very important thing. Trademarking. A lot of people have the conception that if I register my business, it's my name.
If I had a nickel for do we have nickels?
So you can explain that further, because it's really critical to understand, especially if you're in the food business or franchising business. The name is everything.
Yeah, the trademarking name is everything. So we'll pick up on the trademarking tomorrow, because we've got to wrap this up. But let's talk about trademarking, actually. Let's talk about trademarking, parking your IP in a corporate structure versus just letting it float out there. I think that's going to be such a good segue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll deep dive into it.
Deep dive into trademarks tomorrow.
Yeah, there's so much.
Day 2 at Treb.
There's so much we could spend an entire day chatting.
I feel like we have these jam sessions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like when I walk away, I'm like, oh, there was so much more. There was so much more that we could do. But that again goes into the world of commerce, right? The world of commerce, the world of real estate,
and I really want to remind people that, if you've taken the journey for entrepreneurship, you are going to have high and low. Just embrace it, because on the low you're learning, on the high you're exhilarating, and you're going to show leadership skills that is next to nothing. You can't really get it any other place. And finding the support team, both from a legal aspect and then from a business strategy aspect, combining that together you are going to have an incredibly powerful team behind you.
Absolutely. And I mean, I love that we are set up like a boutique, that everybody on our team is super entrepreneurial, even our staff members
Yes.
who are, you know, even they are consistently coming up with really cool like entrepreneurial ideas. I feel like that's what the Lexaltico energy is about, and I love it. And I love coming to work every day because of it. And then I come to work and we're working with people who are building. So it's just like a great big, you know, energy. I don't know what to call it, like an energy bubble vortex, maybe, right?
Yeah.
In which we all are, and
that's
it's really
right.
cool. But essentially, we are boutique, right? And
That's
I
right.
love that, because you're not getting lost in some big Bay Street, you know,
That's
office
right.
where you might think you're a big shark, whale, or you're a little minion compared to, you know, other
Exactly.
clients, and you're not going to get that same kind of quality of service. On the other hand, you're not going to like a 2-3 lawyer firm, right? Or a solo who may be beyond their depth. And you're not even just going to a law firm. You're going to a multidisciplinary practice in its true shape when form. And I personally love picking your brain. I know you've picked my brain. It's great to get that,
Yes.
you know, it's
Yes,
great to get those jam
for
sessions
sure,
going
yeah.
in terms of like helping. And to be able to do that for our clients, I think is just like really fantastic. But yeah, more on the stuff that we do, specifically,
Yes.
you know, what you're doing. Some stories from the trenches.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
That's it. We're going to
You know,
share the stories. We're going to share what it's involved in being a business.
No names shall be
know,
listed,
that's
but
right.
there will be.
We'll
there
talk
will
about
be tales.
capital. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do with capital when you run out of capital? How do you find capital?
How
There's
do you
so
find
much.
capital? Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the number one thing. And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
because industry is changing, like AI, and like you've got like a lot of people producing content and living
Yes.
this online lives, and you're looking at businesses change from
That's right.
brick and mortar to web, and how are we adapting and dealing with that? So I'm really excited to have you in the hot seat tomorrow for us to discuss more of this. But thanks.
Sounds good.
It's been great. Thanks,
It's a
man.
pleasure. Thank
awesome,
you.
buddy. All right. Take
Okay.
care.